Well, there's something we have discussed many times before, and that's how many communists are burrowed deep inside of the United States government, and they don't just sit there and cash a paycheck and sharpen their pencils all day long. They're revolutionaries working to undermine the United States of America under Republican administrations and Democrat administrations. Someone who is well aware of this little network, Tyler O'Neill, senior editor at the Daily Signal. Tyler, you just did a piece about an ex-Obama staffer. What's this ex-Obama staffer doing in the government?
Yeah, so this guy's name is Brett Cozzolino, and on LinkedIn, he goes by Brett Cozzolino Bahave. But it's the same guy, and we know it's the same guy because of Legistorm, because of some federal documents about his employment. But this guy, he worked in the Obama administration. He worked for the OPM there in the Obama White House, the Office of Personnel Management. And then he spent a few years working with radical left climate activist groups. And these are organizations that, though they don't push the alarm element very much in their messaging, they very much are focused on research from the perspective of carbon emissions are going to doom the planet and we have to prevent them yesterday. And so these climate activist organizations for which Cozzolino worked have a night and day disagreement with the current Trump administration. Yet Cozzolino then went on to work in FERC, the Federal Energy Regulation Commission, and this commission oversees the energy markets in the United States and abroad. And this commission, he's still in his role at FERC, at least as far as I can tell. When I reached out to FERC, they didn't confirm or deny it. But according to other sources and according to his LinkedIn, which, by the way, as soon as I asked FERC whether he was still at the agency, Cozzolino's LinkedIn disappeared from the internet. So I think that tells you that I was onto something.
Okay, I know I'm asking you a question that's almost impossible to answer, but how many of these types, Tyler, do we believe are still woven throughout our massive federal government doing their evil deeds behind closed doors?
Well, many. And let me be clear, I don't have any evidence that Cozzolino or any of the specific burrowers that I've covered have been working as deep state actors to oppose Trump from within. But it stands to reason, given what they've been doing ahead of time, what they were doing under the Obama administration before they burrowed in, and now what they've been doing what they're overseeing in the Trump administration, that if there are cogs in the wheel, these people are probably connected to it. And these burrowers, so what is a burrower? It refers to a person who was politically appointed, often by the previous administration. In this case, we're going all the way back to Obama, who then took a position that's ostensibly non-political in the federal bureaucracy, that's overseeing policy, but who isn't politically appointed by the president. And this is part of an approach to the administrative state that I think is fundamentally wrong-headed. We have this progressive era idea that you can have bureaucrats who will be good public servants regardless of who the president is, and they will just do what is best for the American people, whatever happens. And, there are some people who will do that, but I'm telling you, especially when our politics is as polarized as it is today, you have a lot more people. Bureaucrats are people too, and they tend to have political positions. And there's a really alarming poll that came out earlier this year showing that 75% of the DC-based federal bureaucrats who voted for Kamala Harris in November said they would oppose a Trump order if they considered it bad policy. And this poll highlights that the deep state is a threat, that these people are out there, and it is only a matter of time before some of them actually do act against the president.
Are they already doing it in the military, Tyler? Are they defying Donald Trump's orders on things like DEI?
Well, we don't have evidence that actually, what we do have evidence of is a long-term relationship between many branches of the military and an activist group, a student. It's called the American School Counselor Association. This group has embraced DEI and CRT and has worked with, they've taken the standards of the Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center, for those who need a brief refresher, puts mainstream conservative and Christian groups on a hate map with chapters of the Klan and raises money by going to their donors, exaggerating hate and saying, we are the premier source in fighting this hate. And they also have an education arm called Learning for Justice. It used to be called Teaching Tolerance. And then around 2020, they decided that tolerance was too tolerant of injustice. So they had to switch to Learning for Justice. And so this program releases student social justice standards for students. And those social justice standards were entirely accepted by the American School Counselor Association. And so this Counselor Association is pushing DEI, and it's been endorsed many times. It receives federal funding through branches of the military that are sponsoring their annual convention. And it's not just the annual convention of the overall group, it's also the annual conventions of their state chapters that embrace everything that the American School Counselor Association embraces. So I reached out to the Department of War about this, and the Department of War spokesman said, he didn't mince words, he said, what the SPLC's social justice standards are is entirely separate from the ideas and what we believe is in the best interest of the American people. But they did not tell me that these military branches will cease their sponsorship of these annual conventions. So we're going to have to see. I'm going to keep asking these questions. There was an army spokesperson who said that they looked into this and sponsoring these conventions did not violate any policy. So we're going to have to be, consistent in saying, look, the military, if they stand against these divisive ideologies, they need to not be endorsing groups that stand for these things. And I think this is something we have to keep saying and keep emphasizing because, President Trump had that excellent executive order saying that his administration opposes DEI, but what we're not seeing the military entirely seeming to follow that. And that's even worse now. I mean, I think your military should refuse illegal orders. And these are many Democrats who themselves served in the military. They're saying this in the context of trying to tie Trump's hands and prevent military forces from protecting ICE agents and other federal immigration law enforcement officials while they're carrying out Trump's lawful enforcement of immigration law. And so they're saying, look, military, you need to oppose Trump's illegal orders. And this is in the context of them opposing Trump's legal actions. And then they're acting as though they came back and said, this is not about undermining Trump's authority. This is not about opposing America. There's nothing more patriotic than standing for the law against a reckless commander-in-chief, or so these Democrats have been saying. And to that I say, they know what they're doing. They're encouraging people who may already be predisposed to some degree to oppose the sitting president of the United States to act in rogue ways. Their messages are for the burrowers that I've been exposing. And these Democrats are effectively saying, look, if you're in the administration, you should not follow the elected president's orders because we say they're illegal. But how each specific order is supposedly illegal is anyone's guess.